Morphine administered.
Everyone is familiar with that soundbite. Gordon Freeman being a hopeless opiate addict is not a new joke. It's a long-running one. And it's been in the community since that line's introduction. And given my credentials as a currently former opiate addict, I'd like to chip in my 2 cents. There's a plethora of encounters that warrant morphine, given Gordon fights 577 enemies in Half-Life, and 950 enemies in Half-Life 2 in its episodic expansions. That is a lot of potential morphine. Let's just throw out a statistic here. Let's say if every 30 enemies, Gordon is worn down enough by combat to be injected with morphine via the HEV suit's auto-injectors, that would leave us with 31 hits of morphine in total. That is a week's worth in a couple of days or less. There is no doubt about it, Gordon is a definitive opiate addict. Also considering the fact that the events of Half-Life 1 and 2 in Gordon's perception take place in less than a week. Once you start to pay attention, you'll notice his behavior in-game reinforces this. Gordon is actually very talkative. He's just fucking tweaked off his gourd, per se, causing him to go non-verbal. We know this given the fact that he shows up to work late and everyone still loves him. No one loves an autist who shows up to work late. And given the fact that Barney owes him a beer.
About that beer I owed you.
Listen, I cannot say definitively that my ideal drinking partner is a non-verbal scientist. Though you could call that a moot point, considering opiates tend to affect everyone differently. Personally, I like to talk a lot when I'm on them, but maybe I'm just not taking enough. Though I do believe Gordon exhibits the behavior of a functioning opiate addict, mainly in how he carries himself through the games. First, let's lay down some information. Morphine is a potent, naturally occurring analgesic opiate medication derived from opium poppies, primarily used to manage severe, acute, or chronic pain as a central nervous system depressant. It alters the brain's perception of emotional response to pain, but carries a high risk of dependence, tolerance, and fatal depression. Morphine acts primarily as an agonist at the mu opiate receptors within the central nervous system. By binding to these receptors, it blocks the transmission of pain signals from the body to the brain. It depresses the central nervous system, and yada yada yada, don't do them, they're really bad for you and it'll ruin your life. But in layman's terms, it feels really fucking good. So how would this affect Gordon's trek through Black Mesa? We can establish Gordon is sober from Black Mesa inbound all the way up until we've got hostiles. I say this given the fact that bullets tend to hurt a lot, especially when shot by an elite military task force who wants to kill you dead. I can see a few morphine injections being needed. We first see Gordon really start to feel the effects in the 7th chapter of the game, Power Up. The chapter takes place in Track Control, in Sector E, where Gordon Freeman encounters a large alien creature called Gargantua. The player needs to restore the power to the rail system, so the player can ride the rail cart to the surface and escape. The path to the power generator is populated with Marines and aliens, which may or may not activate his morphine system a little bit. Gordon can kill the creature by luring it into the Transformers, supplying the power to the rail system at the same time. This would throw any normal sober person for a loop. You know, it's just like, it's really not something people do, you know, like they don't kill gargantuars. They don't do that. They don't, it's a kind of a stressful task. However, Gordon is not a normal sober guy. He's high off painkillers. He shows no sign of distress or concern and just kind of hopes the Transformer kills the evil big-ass alien that shoots fire from his hands. Which, this recklessness is in line with being high on opiates. When you're feeling that great, nothing matters, not even your life. Of course, these random Hail Mary tactics do work out in his favor, given his plug, the G-Man, is interested greatly in his journey. And take note of a dying security guard that can be found in the track control room.
You better go on without me.
Gordon has no reaction to his co-workers dying violently. I reckon this is due to the fact that he is still very high on opiates. When your brain is being flooded with those happy chemicals, it doesn't matter what's going on in front of you. So, you know, someone could blow my dog's head off and I'd be more focused on how good I feel. Gordon doesn't care very much about his life. We'll continue to see that. What he really cares about is getting his next fix. Sorry about that. I've always wanted to make one of those. Time and time again, Gordon just blasts his way through Black Mesa. We see this in Apprehension. The HECU beat the shit out of Gordon Freeman. Not one peep from his mouth.
It's a long time.
In surface tension, he's getting attacked by everything. Hey, there's tentacles, there's helicopters. It's really stressful, but that doesn't matter. He's currently getting his mu opiate receptors fondled. Let's not talk about Lambda Core just carelessly throwing yourself into the sketchy-ass portal to the alien world with the evil alien killers. Zen is by far the most egregious example and strongest point in my case that I'm trying to make. Gordon is put on an alien planet he hasn't seen given his level 3 security clearance. He's completely lost, no sense of directions, just recklessly throwing himself into whatever will receive him. I'd say he's just praying it works out. However, I think he's more focused on where he can take damage to get that sweet, sweet nectar. And then after he gets through Zen, he gets to the G-Man. You know, I believe he underestimated how much Gordon loves morphine. And I think that's why in Half-Life 2, he takes the liberty of choosing for you. Because Gordon is too tweaked to understand the options in front of him. Half-Life 2, Gordon is dropped in City 17. He's lost the suit, no morphine, he knows that. Now, considering Gordon probably isn't currently thinking about morphine and more so the strange-looking guards that have locked the city down, we can assume he's not thinking about his next shot from the suit, which he currently does not know the whereabouts of. Luckily for Gordon, he gets the suit not too long after arriving to the city, which I imagine is all he was focused on during the Kleiner's lab sequence. There isn't a good source of damage for Gordon to milk morphine from up until the coast, which means Gordon would have to intentionally harm himself to the point of the suit administering morphine.
Morphine administered.
So the biggest concern right now is withdrawals. They'll begin to annihilate Gordon very soon, on average in 10 hours. For those who do not know, opioid withdrawals cause lacrimation, rhinorrhea, piloerection, myalgia, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, pupillary dilation, photophobia, insomnia, autonomic hyperactivity, tachypnea, hyperflexia, tachycardia, sweating, hypertension, hypothermia, and yawning. A symptom I don't see spoken about a lot is it fucks up your sense of smell. No matter how much you shower, your body just excretes this rotten smell that only you can smell. And everything around you just smells awful. It's just really bad. So Gordon's gonna experience that. Now, following the timeline of withdrawal, by the time they really start kicking his ass, it would be in fucking Ravenholm. That's right. Gordon would be experiencing peak withdrawals in Ravenholm. And I don't know if you know this, but the last place I would want to smell in Half-Life, especially while going through withdrawals, is Ravenholm. The smells are not pleasant in Ravenholm. The rotting corpses, scratch that, rotting burning corpses, and Father Grigori. I think the smell alone would kill Gordon, if not for the zombies taking advantage of a dope-sick Gordon. Personally, if I found myself in his position, I'd lay under the chopper blades for a week till I recovered. At this stage, I reckon Gordon starts to consider how he could take damage and get his sweet, sweet loving morphine administered back into his system, stopping the terrible, terrible withdrawals. Maybe the traps? No, too lethal. Zombies, risk of head crab infection. He's gotta strong arm his way through Ravenholm. what I'm sure is the most miserable experience of his life, he clears Ravenholm with the help of the goat, Father Grigori. A proud, sober, yet still withdrawing Gordon reunites with the rebels. Gordon is led to the dock with the jeep waiting for him. At least he doesn't have to walk as much. There's also another being who waits. Did you know there's a villain in Half-Life that isn't talked about at all? A force of destruction who did such evil they possibly spell the downfall for Freeman? That's right, the crane operator. Whilst Gordon is suspended in the air, she drops the buggy, slamming him violently onto the ground.
Minor fracture detected. Morphine administered.
That's right, the crane operator recklessly drops Gordon into the ground, sending his suit into overdrive, pumping him with the chemical he's been deterred from, forcing him into relapse, and yet at the same time, teaching him the easiest way to get his fix: fall damage.
Major fracture detected. Automatic medical systems engaged. Morphine administered.
Truly a dark time for the rebels. The Combine's reckoning is currently throwing himself off cliffs in hoping of getting another shot of morphine. The crane operator doesn't even understand the damage she's just inflicted. She reveals to Gordon unintentionally that he doesn't have to wait for the enemies to damage him, he can do it himself. The trajectory of Gordon's behavior is altered. Not only is he blasted off morphine, he knows it and he wants it. Gordon becomes even more careless, taking on everyone and everything. The Combine isn't his biggest focus, the morphine is. Gordon will throw his life away if he believes there's an opportunity for his next hit. Case in point, the Citadel breach. A menacing, impossibly large monolith of despair stands before him. For a normal person, this would be pretty scary. Gordon, however, is currently feeling the warm embrace of opiates, which neither the user nor the drug wants to detach from each other. So, Gordon climbs through the bowels of the Citadel and manages to find himself somehow before a set of Combine prisoner pods. In this situation, would you A, fuck off and find a different way up? B, get in the evil pod that kills you? C, get in the other pod that might also... Oh, looks like he's already decided. Didn't even let me finish the question. Lucky for him, or maybe not so lucky, everything works out in his favor as per usual.
You know, I just think it's like really cool that that Gordon sees like a pod and he just gets in it. You know? Like in the evil killer building, too. Like, why would you do that? I wouldn't do that.
Given the fact he was taken straight up to the Evil Incorporated Evil HQ with Mr. Evil himself, who now has you in his possession. Yay, Gordon. Great going, you stupid high piece of shit. And he manages to find himself in a position of power over Breen. Given the fact Breen didn't account for Gordon being a junkie who will kill himself as long as there's morphine in the afterlife. Gordon, yet again, guided by opiates and Alex, decides to use his cool gravity gun to fire his cool energy balls into Breen's teleport hole. This also works out, whilst somehow not emitting enough radiation to slaughter a city of people right then and there. They kill Breen, world saved, got his ass, somehow. Black Mesa, former Black Mesa administrator, Dr. Wallace Breen, taken down by a junkie. I think we need to thank our lucky stars Gordon doesn't talk whilst inebriated, or else I think the rebels would have a harder time trusting them with their lives. Opioids play a massive role behind the scenes now, and I think I brought them into the foreground. If this video does well, I'll do a series where I play through Half-Life high on fentanyl. Thank you for watching. I love you.